Which book should a depressed person absolutely have to read? Hyperbole and a half. Hilarious and personal. One of the few books that have made me laugh out loud as well as cry. Came here to say this. This book helped me realize I was depressed and that treatment might actually work. Which it eventually did. Definitely a powerful book. I'm glad it helped you out. Hitchhiker's Guide helped me. Just an absurdist take on humanity that helps undercut any overwhelming negative thoughts I can't shake. This book got me through an incredibly hard time in my life. Reading it in the hospital beside my dad. Thanks Douglas Adams. It's an easy lateral move over to the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. Very similar senses of humor. Discworld is just the fantasy to the HHGG's sci-fi edit. New Terry Pratchett, Discworld. Furiously Happy or Let's Pretend This Never Happened by Jenny Lawson. Got me through bouts of terrible depression and a miscarriage. Edit, holy shit, guys. Thank you for all the love. Winnie the Pooh. Some kids are messed up at an early age. I was one of them. Pooh, and Rabbit, and especially Eeyore were cool friends with massive faults. I learned from these books it was okay not to be like the others. Definite read. Eeyore was always my favorite. I often felt gloomy and it was good to know I wasn't alone in that. Chapter 6 in which Eeyore has a birthday and gets 2 presents is absolutely the best short story of all time. Complete masterclass. Hey, thanks. Been dealing with moderate depression for a while. Felt like I've been stuck in the mud for like a month especially. Winnie the Pooh was my fave show when I was younger. Last year my sister found a reprinted copy from the 1960s in good condition at a yard sale. My bookmark left off at chapter 3, but I skipped to chapter 6 just now to read it. The chapters are like short stories anyways. I have a few more pages to go before finishing the chapter, but wanted to thank you for the joy you brought me tonight. I've laughed out loud a few times while reading this chapter and had that like warm feeling of happiness chirp up in my chest. Just felt great remembering my sister got me this book and laughing along to the silly moments I read that had been originally hiding away in a box with other books. Not gonna lie, got a little misty-eyed typing this up. I just wanted to thank you so much for providing me with this warm feeling in my chest. Duck, now I'm crying, haha. Thank you, internet stranger. Many happy returns of Eeyore's birthday to you, smile. I'm gonna go get a glass of milk then settle down and finish reading this chapter. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, just a man's thoughts on how to better himself. Never meant for publication. The first chapter, where he thanks his father, mother, and mentors is mind-blowing to me. We are all inspired by so many and are never truly alone. It's amazing how well Marcus put that into words. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. Take a minute to be thankful for what you have and the PPL that helped you get there. A Street Cat Named Bob from James Bowen. It's an autobiography from a drug addict who gets clean with the help of a cat he had adopted. Start a long series. If you get hooked on it, it gives you something to look forward to, a lifeline to hold when things get rough. The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupery. I don't think it needs an introduction. It's a very small book, which helps since some people with depression can't read huge volumes, it tires them out. It's also very simply written while being thought-provoking at the same time. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly, what is essential is invisible to the eye. Edit, I have been on Reddit for 6 days only and already a silver, then gold and now platinum award. I have been going through a rough patch lately. It's nice to be remembered to the fact that we all have our stories. A lot of them include The Little Prince, it seems. And we all do our best to keep going on. I love how books do this. Thank you all. An excellent book written for both children and adults, but understood differently depending on where we are in our lives. Slaughterhouse-Five. Seriously, Kurt Vonnegut got me through some rough times emotionally. He has a dark, wry sense of humor but ultimately a heart of gold beneath that really makes you feel like you're not alone, that other people out there think like you and have been through the same things. If you're still a teen, then it's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. For sure made me smile and I could, even if only for a while, feel less lonely. Guards. By Terry Pratchett is a fantasy satire, think Douglas Adams, that is very funny and thought-provoking. The Way of Kings, by Brandon Sanderson, is a fantasy epic about broken people doing great things. Any of Terry Pratchett's books. His death character is amazing and always manages to make me laugh. Good Omens. It's been my favorite book for around 25 years now, and it never fails to make me smile. It's hilarious, yes, but there's a quiet charm and encouragement that reminds you that as hopeless as things may feel, they will get better. The Amazon Prime miniseries is really good too. Yeah, they did an excellent job on it. Really nailed everything that made the book so endearing. I felt let down by the exclusion of the other four horsemen. They were my favorite. They're great, but they're really only in the book for about 3 pages. Just speaks to how great the story is that such minor characters are so memorable. I really wanted to see grievous bodily harm and really cool people. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. A really nice book for developing a solid foundation for dealing with problems. A few years ago, I was laid off with no job prospects and couldn't bear being in Seattle for another winter. Packed all my stuff into a room at my folks', took a bus with my bike to Vancouver and rode down to Mexico. Carried this book with me and read it by flashlight in my tent with the rain beating down on me. It was soothing. I know, not a happy book, but I think it calmed a piece of my soul. I read this book while living in a tent after my life imploded, very helpful. To be fair, I could have afforded motels. I only camped because to me that's part of the bike touring experience. It's 4 years later now, and I own a house, a dog, and have a solid job at a workplace I enjoy. My personal life's still a mess, but overall, I'm in a much better place. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. It helped me a bit, and most people I know who've read it. Viktor E. Frankl is a psychologist who endured a concentration camp as a Jewish prisoner. He observed what kept people alive and what didn't and used his experience to launch his own psychotherapeutic approach called logotherapy, which focused on will to meaning. He applied his own theories to his life in the concentration camp, writing his book while he was there. The first half is biographical, the second half is his theories and practice for them. Depression and how to help deal with it in a way similar to cognitive behavioral therapy. War and Peace. I'm not joking. There is something about that work that just murders depression. I think it's the way it covers the full spectrum of human experience. I think this post can become an interesting resource for depressed people. And thanks for the award. My first ever. This is gonna be buried but, hyperbole and a half by Ali Brosh. Ridiculously funny, vignettes that are short enough to not get overwhelming, and the only depiction of depression that made me stop and go this is what it's like. I hope Allie's okay. Came here to say the same thing. The bit where she's in a depressive episode and starts laughing hysterically at a piece of corn under the fridge was weirdly relatable. For an uplifting story for both young readers and adults that takes the person on a journey from darkness into light, The Secret Garden, Frances Hodgson Burnett. I came here to recommend A Little Princess, by the same author. It will renew your will to live. I Think Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. That shit got me thinking in so many ways and it made me smile many times while I was in a really bad place, and I love it and read it to this day. Maybe even Metro Trilogy by Dmitry Glukovsky, 3 awesome books that I always recommend, and are packed with stuff that gets the gears turning. Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. I read Steppenwolf by Hesse when I was having a depressive episode when I was 16. It remains my favorite book of all time. Hesse is a brilliant writer and reading his work is so cathartic. I actually came to this thread to say Steppenwolf. It's a great meditation on identity and choice. It's great for depression because it reminds us that just being who we are is a choice, and one we can change. Feeling Good: The New Mood Therapy by Dr. David Burns. This book is all about cognitive behavioral therapy and has been proven to help people. It is also good if someone can afford therapy. Edit. Thank you for the gold and the silver. I know there are a lot of people on Reddit that suffer from anxiety and depression, and I hope someone may see this and get some relief. I want to say The Bell Jar. I know that sounds awful, but I never felt so understood before reading that book. This was what I came in to say. Made me feel seen at a time where I was reluctant to admit I was depressed, and also made me feel strangely hopeful. It's a beautiful book.